Hello, hello. We are at long last. It's been, 3 months since these chapters came out, but we are finally finishing off Gakkou Gurashi. The final two chapters we'll be reading today. You may notice my face is a little weird. It's like very shiny right now, and actually you can't really tell in the web camera, but there's some like scarring and stuff. That's not because I'm coming down with some mysterious zombifying infection. Don't worry, it's I got laser hair removal on my face. I got my face blasted with lasers to permanently damage the hair follicles so they won't grow again. So I have to put like polysporin on it, which is why it's all goopy and shiny. And I'm putting my hair back so it doesn't fall into it and get stuck and all slimy. It's not fun, and it was a pretty painful experience, but that's what you do. So it's time for chapter 77. The last one ended very dramatically. The gun from the dream sequence, no, just kidding, from the flashback, was recovered by Rize Senpai, standing on top of the downed helicopter from oh so long ago, firing shots in the air to try to get Yuki's attention, to try to divert zombies to her away from Yuki, who's holed out in their old high school. What will happen next? Thank you as always to Waterflame, friend of the channel, and their team. Shy Guy and Aqua and Xenon. I always love this credits page. Such happy, colorful pictures in such dark, painful contrast to the actual content of the series. We see a cute cover here. Megune embracing Yuki-chan. So, just before she was about to get attacked, the zombies are drawn away by the gunshot sounds. I like how the zombies' faces are drawn on this page. The like all black with like the glowing almost the pure white eyes. It's very unnerving, and yet somehow it's like kind of cute. Like it doesn't, their faces aren't evidently rotting or anything. There's not blood splattered all over them. It's a cuter alternative, although it is quite disturbing in its own way. Also, this guy's missing an arm. Poor guy. Only one arm. I still don't know how it's gonna end. Like I still kind of read the happy ending. I still think somehow miraculously this is all going to work out. But there's certain things that it's just beyond the realm of physical possibility, beyond any sort of optimistic imagination, that this guy missing his arm will like de-zombify and then still, but what about his arm? A lot of people's lives are going to be very miserable after this, no matter what, no matter how a world-saving incident this becomes. So in this desperate time, Yuki sees once more Megune. Ooh, and Taromaru! Oh, we haven't seen Taromaru in so long. What an adorable little dog. I can still remember. So, I don't know. I'm going to get quite nostalgic, because we're reading the last chapters, and I'm probably going to go on some tangents, but what were you expecting? I can still remember. I got tricked by the series. I had the essential, ideal first watching of the first episode of the show, where I think maybe when I had downloaded it, I had some idea that it had something off about it, that it wasn't actually a typical slice of life. But by the time I actually watched it, I could not recall anything about it. It was just another show that I had downloaded for that season. And I watched the first episode, and I remember thinking how weird it was that they just had a dog in school. And I wondered, like, oh, is this ever going to be explained? Is there going to be like a flashback to when they got permission to keep this dog? And other things too, like the fact that they had this school live club where you just sleep over at the school all the time seemed quite weird to me. But the dog especially, just the dog running in and out of classrooms and everybody else seeming to not notice or care. I couldn't tell if it was just being like wacky and like a really weird sort of wacky, where it's like, oh, haha, you know, the rest of the school is just accustomed to the quirkiness of Yuki and her inappropriate pet school dog. Um, or I didn't know, like, again, like, would there be a reasonable explanation later? But it felt like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like things were off. It felt like kind of a hallucinatory existence, which of course it turned out to be. But yeah, Tarumaru, I called that Megune wasn't really there like so quickly though. Probably everybody did. But by the end of episode 2, I was like, oh, I get it. She's a hallucination beyond a hallucination. So, Megune encourages Yuki. Come on, stand up. Right now. She does. Is this the library? No, maybe this is just shoe lockers or something. The library had a few noteworthy scenes in it earlier. Ooh. Kurumi-chan being here is a little unnerving because Megune and Tarumaru are for sure dead. And Kurumi-chan, we haven't kind of seen signs of life from recently. We saw her suffering, we saw her kind of unconscious and comatose. Now, this is all in Yuki's head. It's not like these are actual ghosts visiting her. But it's not a coincidence so far that she's only thought of people that are dead, that she knows are dead. Look, it's right there. The shovel. Kurumi-chan loves her shovel. Her boyfriend is the shovel. Oh, man. I wondered, like, you know, of course, at the end of the first episode and of the first chapter, we find out the truth, that everything we'd been seeing up until then was just Yuki's hallucination, and that the school is indeed under zombie infestation, and it's a zombie apocalypse type scenario. But I always wondered, like, how long could they have kept it going? How many more episodes could you have put entirely in Yuki vision? And how would have that played out? Like, of course, it would get harder and harder. Things would become stranger and stranger. But little things like Kurumi-chan always having her shovel, it's explained quite quickly to the viewer. But to empathize with Yuki more, sorry, to empathize with this girl whose friend just always has a shovel with her for no apparent reason, I think it's really quite interesting. I like the idea of, like, as I said before, that it was like, well, this could just be wacky. This could be wacky and weirdly written. That you look at slice of life anime or other very character driven genres, and they often do have like quirky personality traits, like having a shovel with you at all times isn't outside the realm of possibility. There's even that one Idolmaster girl, the really shy Idolmaster girl, that when she freaks out, she starts like digging a hole. So if she just carried a shovel with her at all times, you would maybe think like, oh, you know, that's just her quirk. And Kurumi-chan, similar quirk. I don't know. It's really interesting, like the way the desperation of the situation manifests itself so quirkily sometimes. Tarumaru. Woof! He's so cute! And another character that we're pretty sure is dead. Yuki here with her arm around Kurumi. Very interesting. Pretending to have her weight supported, actually just dangling her arm and walking normally. Very, very strange. She's definitely operating in a mode of just pure delusion. It's not just that she is getting inspired by these memories, but that she is actually acting as if they're physically there. But, you know, it's a little troubling in terms of her mental health, but in terms of motivating her and helping her do what she needs to do, it's probably for the best. She's not super distraught about these people being dead anymore. She's not caught up in her own grief, but she's moving forward with their imagined support. All the zombies, the soldiers whom we'd seen earlier, a walkie-talkie left on the ground. She says a brief prayer before taking the dead man's things. I love these silent pages. I think the series is so good for this, especially when um, the characters' actions become a little bit obscured to us. That we just see them proceeding. The one that I think of the most is Kurumi, like luring that guy to be eaten by the zombies during the turf wars of the college arc. Do you remember this? There was like a long sequence of panels where it's just her just kind of walking around and this guy following her, and it's really quite ambiguous what she's doing at first. And it just kind of gives this like eerie silence. Like, of course it's silent because there's no dialogue, but it's like a silence beyond that. You can't even imagine there being sound effects. Just a bit more. Good luck. So I don't know exactly what their plan is. She leaves them on the stair below. Hmm. And it's unclear here, like, again, Yui must kind of confront the reality behind her delusions. Like, she seems a bit distraught that they won't come with her, but there's a reason they won't come with her. They're not really real. You're going now, you're the hero. Ooh, look at this resolute face from Yuki, whom I think I've called Yui accidentally 2 or 3 times. Yuki. This is a face that's quite rare to her, but one that she's really grown into. I'm curious, I want to look into this at some point. I feel like just the way the characters' faces have drawn has evolved quite a bit throughout the series. Both just as the mangaka's art style evolves and changes. That's a pretty typical thing in long-running manga. But I think there's also a deliberate effort to just kind of make them more worn down. There's the cracks around the lips. That to me is like very haunting, very, very disturbing and troubling, and just the little scuff marks on her chin, all of her clothes getting dirtier and dirtier. I think there is actually a deliberate effort to subtly increase these qualities throughout the entire series, which is quite effective, I think. Even though it's a subconscious thing probably for most readers. She climbs away into the light. See, this imagery to me has like major overtones of death. The stairway at the top, this blinding light, the long shadows cast by Yuki, the way that she's struggling and the visible breath kind of puffing out of her, clutching the shovel as a clutch, as a crutch, clutching as a crutch. I can only think of death, watched by 4 departed characters. Thank you and goodbye. So she knows. And I guess this is a pretty strong confirmation that Kurumi really is gone. I always wondered, in the end, will they kill off one of the main 4? Even in situations where I expected an unhappy end, I never really could imagine that they would end with all 4 of them dying on screen, even if it ended with them being like resigned to death, as it seemed like it was going to on a few occasions. I didn't think that we would actually have to witness all 4 of our beloved main characters dying. And in a happy ending as well, I had a hard time imagining that everything would be sunshines and rainbows. It kind of felt like there must be some significant loss to mark the end of the series, a kind of climactic loss on top of all the other loss, of course, throughout the series. It seemed either way likely that we would get one of them dying. And it looks like that has actually come to pass. R.I.P. Kurumi, you were a real one. Most confirmed kills, Shovel Master 2000. Yuki up on the roof, another very fateful area. Again, another nice silent page where we don't, at least I haven't been paying enough attention to know what exactly Yuki's plan is. They have to figure out how to A, stop the Randall Corporation from just firebombing the whole area, trying to cover up as much as they can of their guilt and involvement. and B, give people access to the water of the nearby bog that is filtered and used in the school that was actually preventing Kurumi-chan's zombification from getting worse and could hopefully be used to create some sort of vaccine. If there's any world saving beyond that, I can't imagine the first thing about it. I don't think there's ever going to be like reverse zombification. I don't think any of those four characters are coming back by any stretch. I don't even think there's going to be a way to like mass wipe out the existing zombies. I think it's going to be a huge mess to return society to normal. And I don't know if we're going to see any of that. What I'm predicting now is kind of a melancholy end where it's like, well, some of us survived. Things probably aren't going to get any worse because we have this vaccine now. But my God, are things in quite a state now. So I don't know, like, how is she going to actually solve these problems? I assume that she can radio into the Randall Corporation and be like, hold on, we actually have a cure now. We figured it out. You can use this water to prevent further zombification. And they might be like, oh, that's too much trouble. Bomb. I don't know. Because they don't want their involvement to get out, right? So they just want to wipe all of the evidence clean off the earth. They're interested in that more than they are in making right the situation. I don't know. It's actually quite nuanced. Okay. Can you hear me? This is the Meguri High School's School Life Club. The title drop. You gotta do the title drop right near the end. Is anyone listening? Okay. Some computer voice, presumably on the other end. Bowman-kun. Switches over to Japanese. She is able to connect to the Randall Corporation. So far, pretty smooth. Connecting, connection established. Randall, right? This is School Life Club. Please don't drop the bomb. We found a treatment. Okay, so that's what I was expecting. But I'm not really sure what their response is going to be. Wait. Okay. They're like checking with someone else, maybe. Go ahead. It's the high school. Meguri Gaoka's high school's water. Shiko-san noticed it. The school's water supply comes from the river. The virus, bacteria. The river suppresses Omega. Nikun got bit, but when we gave her the water, she got better. This is interesting. This is such an interesting way to depict it, right? That there's this disembodied voice on the other end of the walkie-talkie. We really have no idea how they're taking this news, what they're going to do in response, how much of this they've already figured out themselves, in general, just how antagonistic they are to our characters, and all this like crackling and rustling, like this, they're constantly doing something on the other end. I don't know, there's like a lot of tension, but there's like an inherent comedy to this as well, I think. I don't know. I not only it's like genuinely unclear to me how the author like intended these scenes to be read in terms of their comedy value. But I think there's great value in a moment like this when the tension is at its absolute climax for there to be just these kind of like weird comedic breaks and stuff. I really appreciate stuff like that. I always pointed out in these sorts of situations, like Attack on Titan recently is a very similar boat. Okay. No. Since that day, it's been tough for all of us. Ooh, is she gonna air some grievances? Because it really is the Randall Corporation's fault that she and all her friends had to go through this, that she lost so many people dear to her. I think it would be quite reasonable if she was so pissed off she couldn't help but vent a little bit. And mourn, and lament, and grieve, knowing that the person bearing witness to it is as close as she'll ever come to having the ear of someone responsible. But Although I think that's quite reasonable. At the same time, you really don't want to piss this guy off. You just want to say whatever he needs to hear in order for him to cancel the bomb. We've lost friends and people we care about. We can barely breathe and can't even cry. I don't know what to do anymore. But I love the framing of this page. Something about this collection of memories at the top. Tarumaru clawing at the door. That one is really brutal. They're all pretty brutal. And then the way that this is all at the top. I think in the top left is Kurumi killing the guy she liked. Right at the start of the incident, no? The praying, this cross that they made, this is when they went to the place where the person with the shortwave radio had hung themselves. Or killed themselves in some capacity, I don't remember. This one of Mikun screaming, I'm not sure, Richan looking extremely desolate and depraved, and someone's knees, I don't know. I like the way, though, that it kind of breaks down into more unrecognizable images, more things that are just, they happen dozens of times, that they're just the kind of static of their lives now. Anyways, we have all this in the top. And then the bottom panel is just the bottom half of Yuki. So it's like, this is what's going on in her head. This is her brain right now. It's just this endless swirl, this haze of memories. It's effective, it's evocative. I am still alive. Living is scary. I want to stay with my friends. I wanted to stay with them to the very end. That, of course, recalls the chapter when they're leaving the Randall Corporation and they're aware that they're going to be bombed, that they have to hide from people that are just trying to wipe them out. And they're trying to figure out what to do. And she says that at the time, well, the thing that matters most to me is that we all stay together. And they kind of resign themselves to death. This idea that, well, we might all die, but we'll die together. Not even we might all die, but with everything we know right now, we're almost certain to die. That moment really affected me. That moment really stayed with me. And I feel like the wording of this, the way that she describes this, I wanted to stay with them to the very end in this moment, drives home that it was something important to the author as well. That scene. I know how Kurumi-chan feels. She doesn't want to pull this back. And guys, look, who is Kurumi-chan? Stop talking like I know what's going on. What were you saying about the antidote? Start talking about the antidote. I'm sorry. I know how Kurumi-chan feels. She doesn't want to hold us back. I love her, so I want to be with her. That's not enough. Oh, she said, but I can't. I said I'd be back and came here. To meet you. I came. I am here. I'm Takeya Yuki from the Meguri Gaoka High School Life Club. Please tell me about yourself. So maybe in the end this is actually the best thing she could have done. Humanizing her with the person she's talking to. Humanizing them back to her. Forging a genuine human connection such that they can't callously drop the bomb. Maybe that's more important than the antidote. Or maybe Yuki's not even thinking tactically at all anymore. Maybe she just is so distraught at the idea that she's left her friends. So totally beyond thinking about survival or saving the world or anything like that anymore. That she's just trying to cling to the one connection she has left. This voice on the walkie-talkie. I don't know, but I guess we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what the Randall Corporation's gonna do. Who are you? Where are you? Kochira. And then the voice cuts out. Connection terminated. Oh boy. Ah, shoot. It's okay. God, it's so goopy. Ugh. Wow. I didn't expect that. I don't know. It's a powerful thing that the series still manages to get me, that I get a little too optimistic. In a situation where we're summarizing the whole series, where we're laying it all on the line like that, where Yuki is acknowledging that her friends are very likely going to die, and then the thing that she wanted, the thing that she was hoping to get from all of that sacrifice, all of that history, is just gone. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that because it always feels like they're playing unprecedentedly powerful sentimentality cards and kind of like emotional heartstrings cards. And so such that those feel so unprecedentedly powerful, you're like, they can't make them sad again. They gotta get what they want this time, right? And then, no. But then next time it's even more heartrending. It's even more sincere. It's even more full of the entire suffering past. And you're like, this time for sure. No. Connection terminated. So what can she do now? What can she do now? Ah, that's the grave. It was Megune's grave. That's the one they prayed at. Hey, Megune. I made it here all on my own. That was the cross necklace she was always wearing. Is it time for a thesis called Religious Symbolism in Gakkou Gurashi? In this essay, I will argue and then thesis denied. It's literally just that she has a cross necklace and they made her a cross. Made it here all on my own. Mi-chan, the gun fully discharged, sitting atop the wrecked helicopter. Can she see Yuki up there on the roof? It would be nice if she could, even though they can't really reach each other with their voices. Just to know that Yuki made it. And then we cut quite suddenly to our gamers, our gamer girls in the university. There's Ree's sister. She's doing quite well. They're loading up. They're loading up this truck to move. It's a really lovely shot. I love just panels that take this sort of perspective. Fukumoto comics have a lot of them, and they always kind of warm my heart for some reason. Just the kind of bustle of activity as seen from a distance. Such that this panel read in isolation, outside of all the blood splattering and just the general unease. It seems very hopeful, you know? It's a group of friends heading out on a road trip, maybe, or the final big move. We're graduating university. I don't know. Actually, the graduation, I see the shot of the university gate before it, I think is a very common trope in graduation scenes. You show that gate, right? So, I don't know. I think it's almost intentional that we get a little bit of a emotional misread on this panel, which I'm sure, you know, we'll find out in a second that they've finally exhausted the food here, and this is an extreme desperation tactic, and we're going to have to consider the fact that the truck only has 3 seats in the front, and other people will have to ride in the back, which is pretty unsafe, both just in terms of road safety and then also zombie attacks. Yeah, yeah. But again, this looks fine. It looks like they're having a blast. Yeehaw! It'll be okay. I don't know. No. It's gonna get cut again, isn't it? Your big sis will be back very soon. Next time, the grand finale. All right. Okay. All right. All right. What can happen? What can happen? It could be that the Randall Corporation actually already decided not to bomb them. Maybe even though Yuki's call was disconnected, even though it seemed quite bleak, maybe for once we'll get a happy twist, and the Randall people will show up peacefully to help them start preparing the water for general consumption, to help coordinate all of these resources, to give our girls some much needed supplies and take them to someplace safe. Thank them for being such heroes, saving who they can. I don't know. That feels not quite right for this series. Deus ex machina, if you will. God from the helicopters coming down. It could be some sort of compromise thing where maybe they decide not to bomb them, or at least hold off on the bombing, but they're not that interested in saving them either. Maybe just on their own they'll investigate this river thing, but not really go out of their way to deal with all these survivors. Or maybe everyone will just get bombed to death. That would be an interesting ending. At this point, I really don't know. I really, really don't know. It seems like for there to be a good ending, a whole lot is going to happen in the next chapter. But often the last chapters are longer. We don't know. Typically, these are like 30 or 30-ish pages on average, 25 to 35 or so. I don't know. I don't know. But we will find out tomorrow. For me, right now. For you, tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.